Hi everyone, welcome. I wanted to talk a little bit about pelvic floor breathing today, and we'll do a pelvic floor breathing practice. And I wanted to give a few different options for this practice. First of all, what am I talking about when I'm talking about the pelvic floor? I'm talking about the muscles that connect into these bony points at the bottom of your pelvis. So these muscles form the floor of the pelvic bowl and support the pelvic organs. They are really important for all kinds of pelvic function, important for breathing, important for pain in the pelvic region or the low back. So it can be really helpful to learn to breathe into this area. Now, this is a whole area of physical therapy. And if you're struggling with any of these issues in this area, I would suggest seeing a pelvic floor physical therapist first, getting assessed, finding out specifically what you need. This is more of a yoga practice that is intended for general information and can be really helpful for everyone. So there's a couple of options here for this breathing. If you feel like you can already feel your pelvic floor, you have some awareness of this area, you might just choose to lie down on your furniture or the floor with your knees bent. And you're going to visualize that you're breathing in and out of the base of your pelvis. And as we do the different cues of the breathing here, you're just going to feel what you feel. And that can work really well for some people. But if you're having trouble feeling anything in the base of your pelvis, there can be lots of reasons for this, and you want to explore a breath practice like this, then you might use a tool of some kind to help you feel what's going on. And that can be really helpful anytime we're lacking awareness or connection in our practice. So you can take a ball that is soft and underinflated. You can use that to help. You can use a foam roller, or I don't happen to have one here, but if you have a larger yoga ball, like the kind that you can sit on, that could work really well too. If you're not able to kneel on a smaller tool, you can sit on one of those balls and that can work really, really well. So if you're going to use a smaller, softer ball like this, you can either kneel over it, you can sit cross-legged over it, or if you don't have the flexibility to kneel fully, you could build the floor up a little higher with a block and then kneel over the ball like this. And the ball is just going to go in the base of your pelvis, between your sitting bones, and between your tailbone in the back and your pubis bone in the front. So essentially right here, and that's going to help you feel what's happening with those muscles. If you don't have a ball like this and you don't have a big yoga ball, you do happen to have a foam roller. Doesn't have to be a big one like this. This is something a lot of people have around. This is a little harder, might not be comfortable for as long, but you can kneel over something like this as well. You could use a bolster or a big roll of a yoga mat or a blanket. So there's all kinds of options here. Taking whatever position you want to work in, and this is just exploratory breath work, so it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to achieve anything. We're just seeing what happens, okay? Worth noting, this can be emotional work for some people. So if you know you have trauma or sensitivity related to the pelvic region, again, you may want to skip this one or do it with support from someone you know. You are going to settle into whatever position you're in, and then the first thing you're going to do, whether you're seated or lying down, is you're going to see how much you can relax your body. First, you're going to bring your attention to your face. If it's comfortable for you, you can softly place your tongue on the roof of your mouth, but soften your jaw so you have some space between your teeth. Lips are closed. Soften the muscles around your eyes. And it might even feel like your inner ears soften. Letting your head be heavy if you're on the floor. And then you might take a breath in, bring your shoulders up towards your ears, and as you exhale, let your shoulders soften. If you're lying on your back, shoulders can relax down into the floor. Letting your arms be heavy, hips heavy, legs heavy. The more we can soften some of the physical tension, the easier it is to connect into the pelvic floor. This area is very responsive to the state of our nervous systems. And then you're just going to start to imagine and feel that you're breathing down into the pelvic bowl. And if you're sitting on one of these tools, you're feeling your pelvic floor expand down into the ball or the roller as you breathe in. And for now, we're just going to notice what happens as you breathe out. So you breathe in, relaxing and allowing your pelvic floor to move downward into the floor, into the ball. Noticing what you feel as you breathe out. And you might see if you can direct your breath a little bit more into the front of the pelvic floor. So if you're sitting on the ball, it's coming more towards the front of the ball, breathing more into this area around the front of the pelvis. And just seeing if you can feel that happening. Remember, you don't need to achieve anything. Nothing needs to be perfect. We're just getting curious about what it feels like to breathe into the front of the pelvis. And then you might see if you can breathe into the back of the pelvis, imagining your breath is sliding down the front of the spine, down to the tailbone, and breathing down into the back of the pelvic floor. So if you have a tool that's helping you feel the pelvic floor, you're breathing into the back of the ball or whatever stimulus you're using there. Breathing all the way down into the pelvic bowl, into the back of the pelvis, feeling the back of the pelvic floor expand. Observing what happens as you breathe out. And you might see what it feels like if you breathe more into the right side of the pelvic floor. Imagining breathing down to the inner right thigh. Feeling the right half of the pelvic floor expand. Noticing what happens as you breathe out. Some of these areas may be more difficult than others to access, and that's okay. So this is just learning about your body, noticing what happens when you try to do this breath. Now we're going to shift to the left half of the pelvic floor. Seeing if you can breathe all the way down to the left inner thigh. Letting the left side of the pelvic floor expand as you breathe in. And notice what happens as you breathe out. And then shift your attention back to the middle of the pelvic floor, seeing if you can breathe in and out of the middle of the pelvis, bringing the breath all the way down into the center of the pelvic bowl. Base of the pelvis, and pelvic floor muscles expanding as you inhale, noticing what you feel as you breathe out. Still relax through the face and jaw. Relax through the shoulders. And then expand your attention so you're zooming out from the breath and you're feeling your whole body. Just taking a moment to tune in to what it feels like to breathe in the whole body. So I hope you enjoyed this introduction to pelvic floor breathing. And if you'd like to share what you noticed when you did this exploration, you could share those comments. And if you have any questions, please ask those in the comments as well. If this was useful to you, you might see if you can practice this breath at different times and notice if it changes. You may notice changes at different times of day, or depending on what is going on in your life, you may notice changes in how your breathing feels. So this can be really worthwhile to explore. I hope you enjoyed practicing with me. May we all be balanced and well. Take really good care.